When cars were just beginning to become more common in East Africa, a couple of dealerships were established to meet this emerging market. One of these dealers was Tanzania's official Peugeot distributor. Tanganyika Motors was founded by Jimmy Finney after World War II. They started off by selling the early 203 and 403 Peugeot models. Upon arriving in East Africa, Jimmy Finney quickly took an interest in rallying. In the late 50s, he took part in the Tanganyika 1000 rally and the RAC rally in England. When 1963 came around, Jimmy Finney hired a promising rally driver who worked for the local Ford dealer. Bert Shankland worked as a service manager for Tanganyika Motors. He also doubled as a driver driving the Peugeot 404s prepared by Tanganyika Motors in the East African Safari. He first began competing under Tanganyika Motors in 1964. He and his co-driver Ken Kasam would finish in 6th place that year. The next year he would finish in 11th place with Chris Rothwell. 1966 would be a great year for Shankland and Tanganyika Motors, as he would finish first with Chris Rothwell in the TDH 404. He also entered the RAC rally in the same year with co-driver Rata Frank, driving a Peugeot 404 injection with Tanzanian plates. Jimmy Finney too would continue his rally career in the 60s. He was often seen competing alongside Bert Shankland in the famous Tanganyika 1000 rally. Shankland returned to Tanzania to compete in the 1967 East African Safari Rally. He would take first place again with Chris Rothwell in the locally prepared Peugeot 404 injection. This win cemented Peugeot's reputation as a rugged, well-built car that could go anywhere and do anything. The win also translated into Peugeot sales in Tanzania, where they were popular with government institutions like the police and internal affairs. Peugeot later acquired the 1967 winning car and added it to their collection in the Social Museum. Shankland and Rothwell would return in 1968, but were forced to retire. Unfortunately, on the 3rd of August 1968, Jimmy Finney would tragically pass away at the age of 55 when the service Peugeot he was driving in the Tanganyika 1000 rally crashed into a parked truck. After Finney's untimely demise, Shankland took over as the managing director of Tanganyika Motors. Shankland and Rothwell would return in 1970 driving the new Peugeot 504. They managed to finish third that year. Shankland would finish third again in 1971 with Chris Bates, this time driving the iconic TZ7 504. They returned in 72 finishing in 9th place. Shankland was forced to retire in 1973 while driving the TZ 17504 Ti. He would finish in 7th place the following year. The 1974 car was the last 504 prepared by Tanganyika Motors, as Shankland would go on to drive for Marshall's East Africa till he retired. Shankland would retire in 1980 to focus on running the dealership. Tanganyika Motors would operate till 1987 before officially shutting their doors. Shankland would move back to Scotland where he lived till he passed away in 2012. The Tanganyika Motors showroom now houses a variety of businesses and is often referred to as Peugeot House.